So this is my wife's studio, and it is a dusty mess. Now I've been in here for about a day, and I've removed lots of reliefs from the walls. Still got a couple up there. I got the cow skull. I got this relief back there. And then I think the walls will be clear. And I removed all the big reliefs from the easel and other places because I didn't want the kids messing with them. And I removed, there's a set of shelves right here that was full, and I removed it. Now we are going to empty this thing out totally, and I'm going to grind the floor because it has just a layer of plaster, hydrostone, hydrocal, and 4-ton MG, and it's just pretty much unsweepable. And this dust has been getting to her in the last couple of years, so we're going to try to make this, it's going to be hard to be dust free, but we're going to clean it up and start from scratch. Grandkids are coming. I'm going to put them on this set of shelves with these books. They can't really break a book. And all these rubber molds, they're pretty hard to break a rubber mold. But the next 3 or 4 days, we're going to try to empty this place out, and I'm going to grind the floor clean, and then we're going to seal it with something. And I'm going to hose the walls off because there's dust everywhere. And then we'll start over, put everything back in, and start collecting dust for the next 18 years. But for this trip, be done. This is an example of the dust. This little thing was sitting on top of the shelves. Look at it. There's dust everywhere. And that's partially from the working with the ceramics, but it's partially because the door's open most of the time. So it's just gonna happen. It's gonna get dusty. You just have to let's see, 18 years from now I will be 67, 87.
So if you're just watching this video for the dust collection part and you find all this other stuff tedious and boring, just skip ahead to 11 minutes and about 20 seconds, and that's when I start actually dealing with building the dust collection.
Ooh, I've been doing some serious walking back and forth to the mold shed and to my shop and outside. I got this corner emptied out. I got this, excuse me, I got this section emptied out. I got the fridge outside, it's thawing out, it needs a good cleaning. And I got most of the rubber molds off of these shelves. And Debbie is going to be some kind of lost because she's got hundreds of molds and they all look the same pretty much. But she knows where they all are, and she can grab one that she wants. And now they're going to be all mixed up because I'm not putting them in any special order. I'm just getting them back here in the mold shed. Let me show you what we got back here. This is the mold shed. And it's not climate controlled, but it is weatherproof, weather tight. And it is usually full of molds. And typically she likes to lay them flat, not stack them up for fear that they may change shape over a period of time. But it's too bad. I'm stacking them because there's too many. And all these reliefs came out of our studio. So, more molds to move.
Now, we kind of addressed the dust a couple of years ago, and we moved her mixing spot into this little room with this big, huge exhaust fan. So when she mixes her plaster products, she comes in here, and most of the dust goes out the back. So we're not making so much dust next door anymore, but there's still the dust from 18 years of stuff.
Okay, cleanup continues. Toolbox was easy. It was on wheels, so it just rolled into the shop. File cabinet, I could move with a hand truck. I didn't have to empty it, because that makes it a little simpler. All these molds were a pain, but they're now gone, and I'm probably going to remake these shelves, so probably knock these down. Don't have to worry about storing them. And these 2 big metal cabinets, Jess helped me dolly these. I didn't have to empty those. They're over in the lawnmower shed. This is what I had to do with electrical because the cabinets come to right here and couldn't reach the light switches, so we just scooted them out from under. I need to remove these molds and kind of brace up that shelf because it's coming away from the wall a little bit. It's got a lot of weight on it. But this is the hard part now because everything is just stuff and it needs boxes. And I don't have boxes for all this stuff. So the emptying of the studio has slowed down dramatically, but we're still making progress. More progress. There were 14 moles up on these little shelves. Got them stored away. I got the drafting table ready to move as soon as the son-in-law wakes up. And I broke down the big easel. This was purpose built for a big job, but she wants to keep it. But what I am going to do is cut the base down. The base was built for another job, and it was way bigger than the easel, so it tended just to collect stuff. And I'm going to break down this cabinet, and it's not coming back in. And we'll kind of clean up this cabinet, maybe add a few more shelves, because most of the molds are really thin. And the molds that were on this cabinet, we're going to keep outside in the mold shed. And she'll have to try to decide which one she uses often and which one she doesn't use often. And we'll store away the ones that don't get used often. But progress, slow, but progress. Okay, the room is empty of stuff. I still have the big crucifix here. She doesn't want to tear it down yet. It's just clay, so it's really temporary. And I still have these two tables, which I need help to get out. But I've started on the reason we're doing all this is to grind the floor. And I started with the little Makita grinder and a wire brush with the vacuum cleaner on, and it actually does pretty good. But it was slow. So I went to the foundry and got the big boy grinder with a big cup, and we're gonna try it again. I'm gonna turn on the vacuum cleaner. I got a box fan over here to try to keep the air kind of fresh. Turn it on. And we'll see what it does. Should be able to record some of this actually.
For the first hour, this cup worked incredibly well. It was scary well, but as the hours went on, the wires that were pointed in the aggressive direction they just kind of wore off, and the other wires, they kind of developed a smooth surface, and it just, as time went on, it just didn't work as well, not even close. But I'm scared of this cup, so I'm not gonna buy another one. We just used it as long as I could, and we got the floor clean.
This is actually working pretty well. It's not pleasant, and it's kind of scary. It was painful because it was throwing these little bits of plaster at me. But I put the 4x4 here, and that protects my knees from the projectiles and the broken wires. And it also kind of calms my nerve, because just thinking about that wire getting hooked onto my jeans, it just turns my stomach. That would be like awful. But anyway, making progress. This is the worst area, because this is where plaster products were, and the sink is there. So as I get further toward the front of the studio, the floor is less and less covered with this junk. Now I got another problem. The plaster products come up pretty cleanly, but there's also some liquid rubber that's spilled on the floor, and some liquid plastics that have spilled on the floor, and basic wax. And those things, they just kind of smear. They get hot and melt and smear. So I don't know how that's going to affect a coating that we are planning on putting on this floor, but maybe I can wash it with some acid or something. But anyway, making progress. Slow go, hard on my back, but we're going to get there. It's finite. So my first afternoon of grinding with the 7-inch wire brush, maybe 2.5 hours or so, is about all I could stand on my hands and knees on my back. I got about maybe a third of the way across the room, and I got the worst part of it by the sink, which was real thick and built up. So I'm gonna keep on going. I bought a little scrubbing disc from Home Depot. It's a little grinder. I'm gonna give it a shot and put on my PPE and start grinding again. It's a new day, got some new energy. See what we can do.
So with the wire cup becoming less efficient as I got to the far side of the floor, and there's more and more paint, wax, rubber products that are just melting into the floor, I thought I'd give my neighbor's floor washer a shot, and it helped. It got up a lot of dirt, but it did not get up to smears. So then the grandkids came in and messed around a little bit, and the camera that took me a week to master, they had it down in 30 seconds, and they recorded themselves. I thought it was kind of entertaining. They recorded until the battery went dead.
Hey, we're cleaning up today. This is Molly cleaning up right there, sweeping the table. Molly, introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
Tell us your favorite animal and your lucky number.
Yeah.
So my favorite animal is probably either like a cheetah or a koala.
Okay. What's your favorite?
And my lucky number is 23.
This Molly. She's cleaning up everything, right, Molly?
Oh yeah.
We're cleaning up the floors of the studio. Look at this. They're not supposed to be in here right now.
Yeah, because they're so mean, and they block the doors,
And they even locked other things.
and they don't even let people come in. They have to
Say a passcode.
You need to
Are you filming that? William, can you introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself. What's your full name? William Luke.
So this was Thanksgiving week, and we had family in, so progress was pretty slow out here. Actually, one day the grandkids came out here and made an effort at cleaning, and they cleaned the table, and they cleaned the stairs pretty good. I'm getting ready to mess that up again, though. I actually brought the pressure washer in here one day, so I'm through with the scary grinder, and the little grinder only have the little bathroom to do. It won't take but a second, but I got some paint stripper going on right now. So I am going to start on air filtration. I'm going to put a little boxed in deal here. I bought this filter online. It's from a Jet shop filter. It has a lot of square inches. I'm going to put a blower here, so I'm going to pull air through this filter, and I'm going to blow it out through these stair risers. I'm going to cut 4 stair risers. That'll give me about 600 square inches. And this filter is 220 square inches. So that should be a good compromise. And when I put the screens on the front of these, I'm gonna lose a little bit. I can always put one more, but I want more. I'm trying to quiet this thing down as much as I can. I'll probably put carpet on the wall or something on the wall up in here where the blower is to try to quiet it. So this will be my first one. And I'm gonna do another one, I think, on the ceiling, maybe on this slope ceiling over here somewhere. Trying to clean this air, trying to get this dust under control so my bride can breathe a little easier in her old age. Doesn't work. I sure have boogered up a nice set of risers. It'll work. It'll work. Now time to get rid of all the dust that's remaining in here. It'll be the top of the windowsills. Clean those shelves already. These windowsills and these windowsills. Get all the dust on the floor. And we're going to sweep, and then we're going to acid wash the floor, and then hose it out, and then we'll be ready to bring stuff back in, whatever's ready to come back in, whatever's clean. Nothing yet, but it won't take long to clean shelves and bring stuff back in. These boards are an indication of how much we were stretching money when we were building our house and our studios. Framed the whole studio with secondhand 2x. They're the old ones that are 1 5/8 inches thick. And the trim I glued up to make wide enough, and then planed and painted. So yeah, a lot of labor. But we pinched pennies whenever we could. And the paneling in here are the same 2x8s, those same 1 5/8 inches 2x8s. And I brought them to a mill and had them split down the middle. And I put a little beaded edge on one side, and I think it came out pretty good. Second-hand beams hold up the ceiling, and the reason I have the beams is because we have storage in the attic. There's a lot of weight up there. Second-hand beam up high, a lot of second-hand stuff. All the trim is this same stuff, ripped and glued together. We did go with good windows though. At the time, these were good windows. Nowadays, they're probably nothing to brag about.
So this is acid water. It's not super strong. It's not fizzing when it hits the floor. I could have made it a little stronger. I was a little concerned about asphyxiating myself, but it did help get the dirt off because the wash water with the hose later on is really brown, so it got something up. It didn't get up all the smeared stuff that the grinder melted, unfortunately. So somehow during all this moving material stuff, emptying the cabinets, etc., and I even added some shelves under the cabinets, there's a little 3-gallon hot water heater under the sink, and it started leaking. And I didn't know it was leaking because the floor was wet from the hose, but the floor wouldn't dry up in that corner, and I couldn't figure it out unless I just had a big old pool of water under the cabinets. It just never would dry out. And I wasn't even thinking about the hot water heater leaking. My wife figured it out. So when we did go to paint the floor, we had to just skip that little area because even though I had turned the hot water heater off, it hadn't had time to dry yet. So when you see the painted floor, you're going to see a dark strip in front of the cabinets, and that's because it was still wet. And as of yet, I have not gotten around to change that little hot water heater, but I will.
Okay, we're getting started on our filter system here. I got a board to block off the front. This will have a hole for the grill in it. And I got a board that fits right here. It's not a board, it's a piece of plywood. But anyway, it's gonna go right there. Now this will have a top. We'll use this. This will have a top. We'll use this for a shelf for storage. And I think I'm gonna put a 45 this height across here, and the blower motor will be mounted in that 45. Yeah, so little steps. I'm going to screw this into place first. So we got the deck. This part's going to be screwed down permanently. This part I'm going to make removable in case I need to access the blower or do something in there. But I'll just probably screw it down. And now I just need a partition here. And the framing is done. I don't have my blower yet. I do have the filter, so maybe I can start seeing what I need to do to affix that filter onto this front piece. I'll put the I'll build this partition. I'm gonna take it all down because I want to paint this. This is some interior plywood, and it won't hold up well with wet mop. So I'm gonna put a coat on that bottom piece, and I need to work on it anyway. The last piece of the puzzle is in place. Now I'm gonna take it apart, bring it to my side, and put a coat of paint on everything, and work on the filter supports on this bottom piece. Okay, we got this return glued on to the back side of the front panel so the filters can fit back away from the face. Now I just need to put a little stop so the filters don't fall all the way out the back. And I'm going to sand some edges, and we're going to put a coat of paint this morning.
So the little blower I ordered came in, and it's a little bigger than what I had in mind, but it's so hard to tell by looking at ads on the internet. But anyway, it's a little capacitor start motor. It's 1/5 horsepower, which is what the some of these ones that you just buy, these packaged filtration units that you buy, like a jet filtration unit. So that's how I judge the size. Now that I have it, I stuck it down in the hole and marked the plywood where it fit, I think, the best. And I took the plywood, and I cut the hole where it's going to go, and I drill the holes, and then I glued this rubber all over the surface in a vain attempt to keep the noise down. Can't hurt, and I had the rubber already, so I might even glue it on the other side too, because it seems like if it's going to make noise, it's going to be this piece of plywood vibrating. Okay, I just got a couple of screws in the blower, but I wanted to make sure it was going to work, fit. And this is how it's going to fit. It's not touching this wall, but it's very close. It's not touching the floor. I think it's lovely. I'm gonna go ahead and put rubber on the other side. Finish putting all the bolts in and hook up a power cord, and then we'll install this for. No, it won't be for permanent. I won't glue it. I'll just screw it. So one day I may need to take this out and change the blower or something.
I had some upholsterer's foam left over from my little car, and I guess the boat too. You know, nailed it to the inside surfaces as much as I could, and this is just for noise to reduce the echo, and camouflaged it with black paint so that when you're looking through the stair risers, you don't so much see that yellow color. I also painted the cut edges of the stair risers with some black paint, so just to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. So after I realized that everything was going to fit, the blower fit and then the board fit, I went ahead and glued some of this soft rubber to the backside of the blower support plywood. I don't know if it's going to help. It can't hurt. I had this stuff laying around and I'm running out of life. I need to get rid of some of this stuff. So I glued it on there and then cut the hole out square after the fact.
Well, it's not exactly silent. I was hoping it'd be a little quieter. Maybe when I get it all boxed in, it'll quiet that down a little bit. Let's see, this can go on. So it quieted down a lot when I put the top on and the filter in, and the top's really not fitting well yet because I got the cord sitting there. So things are looking up. Let's see how we blow it. We are blowing a lot of air. Okay.
I tried marking this expanded metal with a Sharpie. I used a soapstone, I used a crayon. No matter what I marked it with, I could not see the line when I started cutting. So I used a straight edge and did some spray paint, and now I can see the line. That worked awesome. So the floor is now flat, it's clean, it's sweepable, but it has a lot of contaminants. So we just decided to go with some cheap latex floor paint just to make it a little less ugly. And it probably is not going to last forever, but I didn't want to go the epoxy route because it would definitely peel.
Okay, we have a clean floor. We're going to start moving back in. We didn't wait to 74 hours that the paint people recommended, but it's been 20. So we're going to walk kind of softly and start moving some of the easy stuff in. I don't have any help today, so I won't be able to handle the heavy stuff. So the great studio remodel of 2021 is done, complete. She's moved back in, she's back in business. Big improvements. We got all the buckets over here in lieu of that other mold shelf. We got our storage back. Cat's back in. And we have dust collection, and it works very well. And she's like most people our age, her ears ring all the time, so she really likes hearing the sound, not of a cat, but of a fan in the background. It's worked out fine. The noise is very pleasant. It's just a fan sound. On the second dust collection system, kind of went temporary cheapo for now. I just strapped a filter to the back of a box tank. And life is good. Still need to replace that leaky hot water heater. We have a coating on the floor. It's not going to hold up forever, but it's going to be better than it was before. And now the floor is sweepable. And you see these little white dots of plaster? This is the beginning of the end. You've started again.